Yeah, this is definitely recorded. So, right, just setups and just taking what's there, right? Looking at the SPY and just being like, if we take what have you on here on the daily and say that this is 3-2 down, you just get out, right? This is a daily. I'm just going to say this like on any time frame. The 3-2, it goes down, you get out. That's it. And so what people will do, they will be very good at triangles if they do this, right? But there's that type of style. So then there's having your plan, right? What can you handle on what you're trying to watch, right? So one plan is to just watch the broader averages and the VIX products. That's all you're doing, right? You're watching SPY, diamonds, Qs, small cappers, sexy VXX. That's it. Because what that's going to be able to do is tell you, first of all, it keeps your universe small. You're going to learn those shorter term triangles because when you do that, all you're going to be doing is watching who's stronger, who's weaker with the Qs. So let's say with the Qs, when you look at the weekly, like here last week, SPY, small capper, right? And they're all going, right? Diamonds are still inside. So you would have probably chosen to go with something like QQQ. But if you do that, all right, you're going to be able to start to learn the triangles because what you want to be able to do is start watching those shorter term time frames. If you've been with me for a while, you'll see me draw these triangles on the 1s, the 5s, 15s all day long, right? But what that can help you see is a very rudimentary understanding of relative strength and weakness of just 5 products, right? And so when you see the SPY pop up like today, pull this out a little bit. All right, SPY popping up and then coming into here, right? And you'll watch that with the relationship of the VXX. The VXX goes the other way, goes 3 and up like that. And it'll just help you watch the triangles on the shorter term basis and the relationships of that. So there's that. You can do that. Another thing you can do is stay on the gappers, right? That gap list comes out, that's your hit list. And so when you come on in the morning and you hear me typing stuff in, I'm doing the 1s, the 3s, the 5s, the 15s, right? And then in my head, I'm trying to track it as best I can because I'm watching a lot of other stuff. But even if I don't call it out, if that's all you're watching, right, then you're getting the Rakta. The Rakta. Because the Rakta, when it went outside 60 here, if you're just watching the gappers and other people are beat up and tired and watching other things, you saw this. You saw that. 3-2 set up to the upside, right? And there's fivers, like in something really hot like this. Inside 5, you just take it. Right? You can just take it. Right? And I know not everybody's going to trade that hot of a gapper, but more often than not, there's plenty there, right? Especially if you can bide your time. Say I'm going to wait for the 30s and 60s, and I'm just going to watch those, and that's all I do. And if it's a gap and sip type of day or for those things, so be it. You do nothing, right? But you stay on it because what we want is some sort of consistency, some sort of plan. Because once you do that, I know what you do. And if I know what you do, I can also know that and I can direct it because I know that some of the people that stay on the gappers and I know what they're doing. I know exactly what they're doing. And once they're set and forget it, they're good. But as you hear people that have been with me for a long time, I will call directly to certain people because I know what they're doing, right? And so if you're sitting in the background, I don't know what you're doing. And I can't help then. Now, if you're making money, that's fine. Like I said, I have people who haven't posted for years. And they're like, Rob, you just keep talking. And for a gapper, do you want to wait for the first 5 or 15 or 30? It's a matter of how you can handle it. I mean, so not everybody's going to be able to, like I said, I don't want you to get destroyed on the first opening 5s and 3s and stuff like that. Until you have a full understanding of it, I would pull back to the 15s, 30s, and 60s, right? Once you're good at it and you can see it at a faster pace, go nuts. You can go 1ers all you want. But until you're consistent at it, you might even pull back to the 30s and 60s. And I know that sounds boring, but as you saw, like PETQ today, all right? If you had to kick back and wait for the 30, that was fine. 30 down was here. That was a great move all the way down, right? Because one of the things that I was saying before that I'll be very clear about is like we do gain more information as the day goes on, right? And I know people get caught up in the allure of the big moves on the opening and blah, blah, blah and all that. But we gain more information on what's going on, if that makes sense. And of course, always trying to look for combinations. Good. Jamie says slowing things down, it helps a lot. Because when you go back and, because another thing that does is it also gives you, every 60 minute is like a new day. Because the 60 is the only thing that can form and trigger in the same day. And so as we come in top of the hour and we start moving closer to the bottom of the hour, you can start to see all those 60s that we knew were going inside. You can start to see what those 30s are doing inside of that and the 15s inside of that. So I know I speak quickly during the day and I get excited and because I know what's going on. I get to see all this stuff and that's fun for me. But as far as making it work for you, don't worry about that. Have a plan and stick to it, no matter what I say. All right? If I say get out, get out. But you know what I'm saying? We got to have a plan. So part of the plan, I tweeted out in the morning, and then Dave posted here as soon as possible. And to be honest, you don't really have to wait for me. You can turn on the TV, and you'll see the things they're talking about and moving. Right? This is just a suggestion. It's a good one, but sometimes other things gap that we go after later. But I'll tweet it out at 8, and then I come in. Dave usually has it right, before the opening, and I go through them right on the opening to give you a general idea what we're looking at. Are we going into higher highs? Are we coming back through a range? Stuff that we would want to be aware of. Good. Okay. Another thing that I want you to do, and I've said this many times, another thing I want you to do is the nightly video, I want you to watch it after the close, the one from the night before, every night. It's not that long, especially tonight. It's not that long. But when you go through it, you can see what did we talk about and what happened. What could you have done? And sometimes it gaps and there's nothing we can do and there's, what have you. And like last night I had Alta, daily Rev Strat, and you look at the daily and it looks like a piece of cake, right? Not necessarily the case. It did go down, but you got this and you come here and you go down, you pop up, triangle them out. So when you look at the multiple time frames, you want to look at how many types of entries you could have had, because what that's going to do is it can start to really train your mind to see things our way, right? So watch the vid twice, right? Watch the one from the night before you watch the new one, and you can even watch the new one in the morning again, so maybe 3 times, but do that, all right? Another thing that can help is you can review the gappers, whether you're trading the gappers or not, to see how lucrative that is, right? Another thing you can do is when I started my research 28 years ago, the one thing that my goal was going after was when I came down to the trading floor and people were like, I was like, well, how much money can you make down there? And they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, well, what are we talking? And they're like, well, on an account basis, you're a trader, but on an account basis, as far as investments, 20% is a great year. 15 would be good, 10's good, 30, whoa. And I was like, well, 10% or 15% a year, there's stocks that do that every day. I'm like, why don't we just do that? And they're like, well, if you can find out, have at it. So the first things of my research were going through the percent gainers and losers and dollar gainers and losers every single night. All right. Now, a lot of it just gap and that's it. But a lot of them aren't. All right. And so I wanted to train my mind to what those characteristics are, right? And it lines up with what I'm telling you as far as time frame continuity pivots and all that stuff that we're taking out. So you might choose to do that. Go to the dollar gainers and percentage gainers, dollar losers, and percentage losers, right? That can help you too. Another way of a battle plan is when I talk about you can just stay on the vid itself from the night and the weekend and do your stuff from there, right? The other vid that's important is the macro vid, and staying on that, because when we had VNQ and all the REITs start off the year 3-2 month to the downside and inside year to the downside, there was a lot of meat on them bones, and a lot of people didn't trade it. Right? Go over one from what, Ramesh? The gappers? Okay, well, I just showed you the rock, huh? How about Captain Sig? Captain Sig puker. Right. So it kind of went, and that was kind of it. But if depending on how fast you are, right, and how you can watch this stuff. So gapper, I need less gap than that. Less gap than that. So what you can always be looking for is to triangle them out, right? It comes up to here now. So this stuff was a little tight. You got it up in here, all right, the 5 that comes down. So this was pretty grindy. So this has been a little tougher. What you can do here, when we go to the 30, if you weren't bored out of your mind by the end of the day, this here, when you see something grind, you want to be real careful if you take a 30 down. It's got to go, right? And so ideally what we want here was the 1, 2 down, 2 up, then come back through them. Because what this does is here, when this took this, it's got to take that and stay down, which it didn't. It got down here, couldn't do it. But once we got the higher high, triangle them out, when it comes back down through here, now we've got that, and that to take out. Boom. And it does it like that. So there's a million ways to do this stuff, right? And understanding when I say triangle them out, that's something you want to pay attention to, because you need to understand the difference between momentum, right, and getting the triangle. That's the main problem for people. They're used to, I'm going to buy the breakout. No, you're not. Well, good luck with it. Better go, right? And it doesn't mean it can't, right? But that can be a real stumbling block for people. Always being used to horizontal lines and trying to buy the breakouts on that stuff. You don't have to do that, right? Let's say you're watching a 60-minute triangle get bigger as the price is traveling through the range. How important is it to watch out for outside bars for potential resistance support on the lower time frame? Well, they won't be on the lower time frame. You mean going back as we're coming through a range and we see all the previous ones? Is that what you mean? When you're ripping through a range and you pull it out and you have like a 5-minute and there's a bunch of outside bars on the way up? Is that what you mean? Well, we're going to go with what we know, right? What do we know to be true at that point, right? Anytime we don't have actionable signals, we'll want to know about that. If we are presently outside 60 the upside, we're good. We'll let them munch through. Everything is a matter of how much evidence we have. And so that always come into, I'll get into a few of these things. I just wanted to really start off with having the plan and understanding this stuff, right? Because the last thing I want is anybody to walk in here and lose. Don't do that. Don't do that. Right? If you're losing, pull back, don't trade. Right? Just keep seeing it. So another thing that we can do here is that one of my best guys, who's rode off into the sunset now, He's still around somewhere. Biker, Mike Karachi, well, he was a real student of this stuff. And he used some of the old technical stuff, I'll admit that, right? But he knew our stuff like the back of his hand. And what he would do is he would actually video record himself trading during the day and go through that. Now, I'm not asking you to do that, but what can make things more clear to you on whether you understand it, whether you are researching or trading, say out loud what you're doing. Say exactly out loud what you're seeing and what you're doing. All right? It's like, what do I see here? I don't know. Then don't do it. All right? I don't do it, because one of the things when you do that and then you come back and ask me what you missed, here's what you didn't say. Right? But because when you say it might sound stupid and, whatever you got to do. But when you say things out loud, all right, it helps clarify it. As opposed to, I thought this. Oh, you thought? If you said it out loud, you'd see how stupid it is. Don't say that, right? I think it's going to go to 100. No. I'm doing this because of X, Y, Z, and I've got this much time on it. This is the triangle I'm looking at. This is the this. This is the that, right? Another important point that we're touching on today is that one of the problems that some people will have with time frame continuity is strictly looking at it for the color, right? And it's important, don't get me wrong. If we're in full time frame continuity, that's important, right? But it's also important of when is this occurring, right? And so you've heard me talk about this, but let's drive it home. That, yeah, we might have, if we have to squint at something on a Wednesday, so Apple, yeah, it's 3-2 down, and it very well may tank. That I get. And we're going to follow that with the market and everything. That's fine. I get that. And we look at the monthly, and it's, second week, and it's this. It's doing nothing, right? Right. So ideally, and then, yes, on the day we had this, but the point I was making today is when, yes, it is red, but on the month it's doing nothing. And the difference between what that looks like and Twitter today, right? Twitter, bright green day, ripping, right? Is that something I want to be involved in? Oh, yeah. There's your 2, 2, 2, reversal back up. Or continuation, I should say. Right? Is that something I want to be involved in? Oh, yeah. Right? And Twitter, let me see. See, now Twitter, here's the monthly. See the difference? There's the difference. And so I want to be very clear about that, too. Time frame continuity is not just the color, but it's how much continuity we have and when is this occurring. All right, so we're always monitoring that. Just like during the day we say, is this still an inside day at noon? Yeah. Doji at noon? No, I don't want it. Is it bright green or is it bright red? That's what we want to be. All right? Because some people have seen, too, the importance of the flip. And that's why if you come in and you start to get a little lost, right, gauge things by the new flip. That's when we get our new 60s, 30s, all that kind of stuff, right? And I know some people are seeing the power of that. They're seeing like the computers are on, now they're off. Now they're on, now they're sellers, now they're buyers, right? All this making sense so far? That's all I wanted to start with that. If you do have questions, start shooting them. I'm going to go through some of the scenarios too, because I want to be able to do that where it's not so dramatic and slow it down a little bit for you. Everybody following along so far? Good. Because one of the things that is important too is understanding what your setup is, and I understand I get questions on that too. Rob, I don't have 16 screens. I'm like, I do. But another thing that you can do is that when I do my research, and I tell you to look at the monthly, weekly, daily, 60, and all that stuff, right? But what I do is I actually have 8 up. And so let's say that I'm looking at this apple. I'll have an apple like this monthly, and I'll have an apple like that monthly, right? The real big picture and then the smaller picture of the big picture, right? And so what you might want to choose to do is when you have your monthly, weekly, daily 60 setup, have 2 of those. Have one of them with less bars and one of them with longer bars and flip between them. So oftentimes that can help you see the real big picture, right down to it. So that's another helpful hint, if you will, on how you can look at this. So I don't want to get in too much into this next part because we're staying on it's basic, some of the basics here. But as you go down, as you continue to know this stuff, one of the things that's important to remember is that for the most part, although software draws things somewhat differently, everybody sees the same thing. And it's a matter of perception on being able to change into time frames that aren't shown. And I know this is getting a little bit down the road into complex time frames, but if you go to SPY, if you get caught up in like this and you're like, when this happens, you're like, okay, that's inside, but this is not inside. Eventually, you want to be able to see time frames that aren't being presented to you, right, in your mind. Much like when people who have TC2000 can't get the bottom 60, have to be able to, in their mind, say that these 30s represent a 60. I can tell you that on a 2-week chart, just by looking at this, if this is a 2-week chart of this, these guys are all stuck in there. Now, we knew it was going to do that on the monthly, had a good idea of it, but by seeing complex stuff like that, breaking that down, that's why you can see a sideways 30, because you don't have a 30 that updates at the 15 and the 45 minute. Nobody does. But you can start to see things that way, because what's going to occur is that you're going to look for like a 3, like here, like in a SPY. Let's go back to SPY here. SPY daily. And so here, when this went 3 outside, 2 down, 2 back up to take these out up into here, what I understand, and it doesn't have to be an outside bar, and I'm going to show you that in just a second, is that this bar and these 3 represent another 3 of that, right? And that's how mentally you can start to see things on time frames that aren't being presented to you. So similar, it doesn't have to be a 3. So here, this was a bar that got taken out to the downside, and as long as this goes 2-2 on this thing, we're still looking to take this out because we know triangles exist. They have to. And so it does that here. 2 reversal up, 2 didn't make it, 2 made it. And we're going to look to take that thing out. So that's a little bit further down the road for a lot of people, but that's how you can see things that aren't being presented for you once you understand what we know, is that we know triangles exist because of outside bars. Outside bars present it to us, but they're not always there because of compound time frames that aren't being presented. Haven't talked about that a lot, and I know that's a little bit down the road for some people, but it really helps to see things when you can do that. If the weekly or monthly is inside a big bar but going in the direction of the trade, do we still take it? You just have to be aware that it's still inside, right? Because otherwise we wouldn't have traded all month, right? Because SPY's inside month. We wouldn't have traded all month if we didn't do that, right? What we're going to do is we're going to be aware of that, right? So we're going to be aware of that because anytime there's a new a change in time frame, we can go back the other way. So here, very strong, full time frame continuity upside, albeit still inside month and inside week. Then we take the week out. We want to be aware of that. We don't have to stay long this thing because we can expect things to turn back around any change in time frame, be it week, be it day, which we got. And that's when you get the internal triangle, which you can expect when you're still inside on a longer term time frame. We expected this. Right? All this stuff, right? We expected that. All right? If you go back in the videos, we talked about what I can expect here. They're going to triangle them good in here before they get out of here. And the great thing about you being able to see this is if you go to any inside bar on a shorter term time frame, you're going to see this at a very tighter range. This is a monthly, daily range on a SPY. But any inside bar, you're going to see these tighter triangles, right? And so the good thing about this is a monthly chart. So this triangle is still pretty big on a daily basis. But if this was an inside 15 doing this, you can get murdered in here, right? And ARK. So what ARK do today? So ARK. Sorry, let me hook this up with everything here. ARK daily goes inside day down. That's good, all right? Takes all this stuff out. Oops. Inside day down. So you weren't going straight into the lows. That's good. I don't think you were higher than this. 25.34. No. So the triangle comes from these guys into here, right? And this stuff. You took this stuff out. This is good. You're coming back through a range, right? Still inside month, right? But you had time frame continuity to the downside. And the weekly slight higher high, so potential 3. Still all in this stuff, right? You're still all in this stuff. So you can expect this stuff to be like, oh no, it's like, oh no, it's going up. No, it's not. Now it's doing nothing. Okay, now it's going to tank. No, okay, no, it's going up. Okay, now it's going down. Because it's stuck in here, right? So you can trade it. You just got to be aware of that. All right? I like to stock and wait, so I trade the 60. Trading only the bigger gapper list is a good recommendation for staying consistent. Good, Greg. Yes. You see, Greg knows. He's like, you get guys to fall asleep on those 60s, right? And then they kick in later when nobody's looking. What's it doing? Well, those guys decided they want their money, and it's tanking again. Okay. Semi-complete weeks. This week in SPY is, SPY. SPY's 2 up. Actually, SPY is 2 up. And this is a very important concept. When you mix the scenarios with time frame continuity, oftentimes they're in conflict until they aren't, right? And so at this point, as far as we know it, SPY is a 2 up, potential 3 1-bar rev strat if they really crash this thing, right? But this is a 2 up. It took out the highs. So this is still higher highs and higher lows, albeit red. It's in conflict with the scenario, right? If this down week will continue, we're going to flip 60-minute. You stay on that 60 like anything. So anytime that this 60 in daily's red, you still got that green month. But if it's really going to tank, it's going to be when that's red and this is red. What to infer? Nothing. We just keep following the next 2 on the daily. Today was 3-2 down. Now what's our next 2? If we take this out, we're 2 down. And until you take out the highs, right? 2, 2, 2, 2, right? So we keep watching that, right? And so the good thing about it is that with the actionable signals, we still prefer to have inside bars and hammers and shooters for our actionable signals, right? Hourly charts on IB has a bar for the first half, and then hourly charts a full hour to start off. Doesn't matter. It does. It still represents an hourly participation group. You can change it on IB, I'm pretty sure. Somebody can help you with that. But it's still, you're going to have to train your mind. The bottom of the hour is important because it's got the European close flip. We want that first hour to be our benchmark. That matters. But you're still representing an hour participation group. So that's good, right? Oh, they don't, Brian, you have to use the 30s on IB? That's important, no. Okay. I'll have to check into that. Because you could use anything, really. I mean, you could go really nuts on this and be like, I'm doing 7 minutes after the hour and all that kind of stuff. It's just like a lot of economic data comes out at the bottom of the hour, a lot of that kind of stuff, or top of the hour, right? A lot of bots go on and off at that time. But as long as you're identifying participation groups, like I said, that there's things you can't see, right? Okay. And so some of that complex look like Tesla, because this is in the course, but like Tesla, here we got Tesla's still inside month, so we can expect it to reverse back and forth until it gets out of there, right? On the week, it's still 2 to the upside, but then gets challenged, right, by the inside day. If it's going to go 3, this is what it would look like. This and down back into this range, right? Then on the 60, when it really got clobbered here, inside, outside, consolidation. I'm going to talk about this in the course, but this is important to understand what you're looking at, right, when you see this. It went inside and tried to go to the upside. Then bad news came out. That means they stopped some short guys out and some guys got long, right? That's what's going on when it goes inside 60 upper. Then, boom, the outside 60. And 3-2, skidoo, Jones says. And here, now, in going back, here's this outside bar. This is a fractal triangle in and of itself. Right here. It dips into there, tries to get out, but once it gets back in here, and this hits, as soon as I saw this, I went to here and I said, where's he going? It was like 326.50, take it out, which they did, right? 32 skidoo. Pow, ow, right? These 32s are really powerful stuff, right, as you've been seeing. And if you haven't been with us during the day and you haven't been able to see the Facebook videos, the 32, right, the 3 outside, because much like rev strats and stuff like that, it should just go. If it doesn't go, don't mess around with it. But when they do, they explode. And the first, let me go back. Top line. This back to here. Good. It's a good question, because this is where a lot of people miss out on how to draw the triangles. Draw the triangles, here they come. You don't have to know that, but whenever you have a higher high like this, it takes a bunch of stuff out and then starts to come down. Draw back from the previous highest low that it's above. So this is above it. So you come down to here. Most people would never see this as anything, right? We would, right? This is a higher high, and as soon as that backs off, I'm drawing backwards to the highest high I can find going back. Make sense? Now this one's obvious to see everybody, but this is a really good question. That's how you do it. And sometimes I'll do it when I just see them, like when they look obvious like this, these higher highs like that, and you can draw it like that, and that's fine. That one works too. Funny how that works, huh? But that's really because we want to gauge what the higher high was. And most people are looking, that's the higher high. I'm like, nope, this is the higher high of that. All right? And so like SPY, 60 try, the old triangle became support. Remember, this was the continuation triangle? And then we took off. That came support. And then as soon as we take out the lower low on here and close out, we draw that. So we knew this today right in here was going to be an interesting spot. Right? Now, maybe they take it out, maybe they don't. Right? And you might remember when they tried to. Triangle crazy? Yeah, no, I understand that. What you want to be able to do, Jamie, is use the magnitude of some of these threes, like in the triangles, to get away from the initial smaller triangles, right? Because if you're squinting too much and stuff like that, you go nuts. As long as the longer term stuff is in force, you can let the little triangles play out. Let them skirmish amongst themselves. And so oftentimes people get caught in the vortex of those intraday stuff. Pull back. Is it good? Yeah, if it's good, let them play out. And the vortex is an important concept I talk about, that people will say, oh, I'm just a day trader. I only watch the little stuff. I'm like, you're going to go nuts, dude. I'm like, you got to have that big picture and say, still good, still good, still good. Right, yo, yeah, to the ticker. And so here, you might recall today, there was this move here. And everybody's like, what's the niz? What's the niz? You remember that? The fiver spike down here in the fiver triangle. And yet, you have to understand these combinations that play out. That's when people say, what's the niz? What's the niz? There's a bunch of things that go off at the same time where people don't know what's going on. So what happened? Yeah, what had happened was is that you go outside fiver. At that point, it triggered the inside 30 down and everything, right? So there's an equilibrium, and there are people already nervous Nellies. And so when they took these guys out, they thought it was all over. So all that outside 5 triggers the outside 30s. And then if you go back to the 60 at that time, what it did was trigger the 1, 2, 2. Oops. The 1, 2, 2 on the 60s. Now it didn't follow through because there wasn't any news. It was no big deal. But what it was, and this is why we like the combinations, it's the 5-minute guys hitting the 30 guys hitting the 60 guys. And they're like, what? Take them all in one shot. So this was inside, goes up, closes in here. So technically this was rev strat. But this is the 2 up, 2 down. And it only makes a rev strat because you go back and there's a 1. 1, 2, 2. But even if this was a 2, you want to know about this reversal, the 2, 2. Because they go to one side, they take out the other side. All right? But that's why things work for us. We're using other guys to trigger other guys, so we don't have to do all the heavy lifting all the time. And so that, just like that, the 1, 2, 2, bam, is like the Ulta daily, rev strat daily, the 1, the 2 with the shooter, which helps. Bam, on the daily. XME did it today, and that was both in the video. 1, 2, 2, right? And so one of the important things that we have addressed tonight is being able to still say that SPY weekly is 2, conflicted by the time frame continuity, right? It's still a 2 upper, but it's conflicted, right? And it's a potential 3. Because one of the things you want to look for too, when I talk about like PayPal today. So PayPal is inside week and up, right? That's a 1, 2. For the month, Momo hammer, because it's a hammer on a green bar. It's also 2, 2, 2 back up, continuation, right? And then you go to the daily, 2, 2, 2, continuation up. And I'll get to a video one of these days when to make it less dramatic, like from our now somewhat famous video. But this is a good night to be able to slow that down so you can see it, right? Because you'll hear me go 2, 2, 2, 2, and people are like, well, is it 2, 2, 2 keep going, or is it 2, 2, 2 reversal, or 2, 2, 2 continuation? Take a look. All right, these guys toot them, 2. Okay, and there's this, because right here it's like you're going into the highs, right? And this is one of the most important things. People have problems getting away from horizontal lines. It's breaking into new highs. I'm going to get it. Maybe with a 3-2 you will, but anything else, no. Right? And that's why we want this. Is how you know your game in the triangle. You see this? You're going to see this. Is this lower than that? 79.53. Oh, yeah. So when it goes up into here and goes 2, we got our higher high. Give me lower low. And there it is. Triangle they at. Triangle they at. Now you come through here. We're going through these guys. See you later. Triangle they out. And that's why the hammer counter shooter is a triangle. That's 2-2. All right. Got to be 2-2-2. That's why all that stuff works. Stop them out, real move. Because one of the things about the Apple, Apple, though, 3-3, potential 3-3-3 month. This one outside, right? This baby went outside month, then downside, stop them out, and then came all the way back through. All right? We knew that triangle, and now, potentially, then it goes outside day on the upside if they want to take them all the way back down. Right, and Greg, when you see this stuff getting stopped out to the tick, it's going to happen like that all day. And that's why we want to try and have as much information in our way and use, like I said, this PayPal 222 stuff. You can use that on a shorter term time frame because that means you're getting the bottom of the triangle. Now, oftentimes triangles will come all the way back and do 90% retracements. That's just how it is. But because we're using as much information as we can, right, we tend to get in the right spot. You know what I'm saying? Because here, this is burritos. This is nice on the 15er. So, burritos. Here you go. She's puking. How am I going to get in on this thing? This thing's falling apart. It goes 2. It goes 2. It goes 2. 2, but green conflicted. 2 up, triangle they out. Whoosh. See ya. Okay, what you want to watch, and I can't put it in here right now. If somebody wants to put in the greatest story ever sold, all right. From the course, there's inside days, right, which is inside bar, any inside bar we can find. All right, so inside bar. This is inside. That's a scenario 1. Okay? Nobody can dispute it. Couldn't take out one side or the other. Scenario 2 is the bar takes out one side of the range. Be it red or green, it only took out one side of the range. There's only 3 things that can possibly happen. Scenario 3, you take out both sides of the range. Previous range. Here. Right? And you can't be a 3 unless you go 2 first. And so 1 means consolidating. Can't not mean that. 2 means at least an attempt at a trend. 3 means reverse. And so when you understand all this and watch that video, if somebody has that and put it in there, there's only so many possible things that could happen. That's the beauty of knowing this stuff. So if you go to crude oil on the 15, so here, yesterday, yeah, tee, it opens and goes 3. Right? Outside bar, that's 3. 3-2. Takes out one side. This one of the only possible ways, thank you, watch that you can reverse is do that 2-2 thing that I showed you. Right? Or the 2-1-2 New York reversal. Green, inside, regardless of color, red. Right? Boom. The 2-1-2. The 2-1-2 can also be measured move. ESRX. Two to the upside. 1, 2 in the direction of the bar. The mother bar of the 1. Inside bar to take. Well, you also want to look for a bunch of the other setups. You want to triangle them out because when you go inside, right, you want to know, are you trading momentum or not? In this case, you were. This thing's got to go, right? You want to understand where you are in the triangles. Because you can have like sharp, 15er. Here, the 3, 1, 2 Chicago setup. We know we got a big outside bar, then we go inside, and if this can get through that, right? And so, Raj, I got to know what you're looking at during the day, right? Got to know what you see, right? Because I got to know if you're looking at the triangles. If you're just going after every inside bar, you're going to get murdered. Right? You're going to get murdered. And so that's why when you hear me say triangle they out, that's something you want to look at. Thank you. And the blog there too. I've been going through the 3-2s. I've been going through all this stuff because you can wait for these 3-2 setups. I'm showing you how powerful they are. Like when the Boeing has just been destroying. Right. Boeing 60s. 3, took out both sides of the range. 2, peak. All right. Then here he goes 2, 2 up, 2 up, 2 down. The 2 reversal by triangle them out. See that? Triangle them out. This is something I want to know about. If this thing goes 2 on the back downside, this might have even been a 3. Hold on. This is a 3. That's a 3-2er right there too. And this was a 3-2er. And then this was 3, 2 into the lows on the 60. So it's really training your mind to see this stuff. And I know that the scenarios really clean it up when you understand it. And I apologize that I don't have all the outside of that video. This is brand new to me. I just developed this on Christmas Eve. This is just a gift to me on Christmas Eve. So you might had to pound that 3 to go right. Yeah. Pound it. As long as it stays 3, even if it triangles you out in the shorter term, get back in. Because of how much power we know these things have. Because at this point, Boeing, albeit inside month, it opened on the highs of the month, full time frame continuity. So here's another thing they're talking about time frame continuity. If you look at the SPY and you look at diamonds, what are they doing on the month? They're both inside, right? And only slightly red on that. And the only reason that thing's red is because of this. And there's your time frame continuity. Is this something we want to be involved in? Oh yeah. It's also a 3 weaker. It went 1 bar rev strat weaker. And so we could follow that each of these days. And this was a 3-2 day, right? And it's coming off the slight higher high, coming back through the try. Pow, 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 pow. Right? Thank you, Spoonie. Yes. Right, and that's how we knew. I made in those videos I made on the blog. I talked about Boeing the last 2 nights. What Hayes is good at exhaustion, and I'm not going to train people to do that right now. But exhaustion means that at this point, outside of this stuff, right, which is it still might make it there. Outside of this stuff, we have to remember our objective. Our objective is going after pivots, these guys. Anybody who wants going to be long, I'm going to be long against that, my pivot, and that one, that one, that one, that one. They're gone, right? So now we got to get cremated through here, right? And so anytime that you have a flip, and here's where it comes back up. The 3, 2, 2, 2 reversal on the flip back up, right? Remember, this is a 2 down, but this is a 2 right back up, right? And what we also knew was that SPY was sitting on this stuff in here, inside 60 and potentially coming back up off triangle support. So not everybody's going to do what he does, and I don't suggest it, but he's good at that. So I say go ahead. and it's volatile enough. I mean, if you're going to do something like that, make it worth your while. I mean, when this thing comes rocketing off here, 327, up $8-9, yeah. Yeah, what's going on? And like I said, exhaustion risk. We knew we were going inside 60s, and we're like, all right, well, if they're really going to hit them, we're going 60 down, and that didn't happen. Right? We went back up because we also want to remember what could things create. Now, if the SPY was a more powerful inside 60 upper here instead of the Rev Strat, right? Potentially what we could have created was the hammer counters outside bar and then really gone, right? Because that would be the 322 back up, and that still might happen. It's just not a hammer. If we take out today's highs tomorrow, that's the 322 back into this triangle that we want to know about. And if you go back to the daily here, oops, that's too many. If we go back to the daily here, that's what happened here. Outside 3, 2, 2, and took it back up. So this would be a bigger one if we do it tomorrow and come out, take out today's highs here. Yes. If this, then that. What will this create? Do I have another opportunity? Does it create another setup? Because, like I said at the beginning, there's some people will just take the initial setups. It just goes and just get at. They know there's short-term triangles like the back of their hands. Now, there's other things like in here. If this works, this could potentially go 2 and really wipe all this stuff out, right? And be a 3-weeker and still be an inside month, right? But that's why the flip is so important. What's the next 2, right? When you get to the 60, what's the next 2? Right? It's like, we're good here. 2 down, 2, we're good. 1. Okay, now we got a decision. We got a oneer. 2, how much power is that 2 going to have? 2, 2, take it down. Didn't wipe them out. Slight 2. Okay, now we come in tomorrow. What's the next 2? And that's really the way you can watch it, because the next 2 says the next 2, because it took that down, could be triangle of this and go 2, 2 and take that out. Or 2, 2, 2. Take, as long as the 2s keep coming back up, it's reversing that range. Because real nice opening here, the puker. Gap up, shooter, slight higher high, 2 up, 2. Puke. So a good rule of thumb is, what's the next 2? What's the next 2 going to be? Right? And that's why you'll hear me say sometimes, we're probably going inside on the 6. We're probably going 1 here, because we ain't nowhere near a 2. Right? That's something you want to know about. That's when things are going to start to tighten up. Because on the monthly SPY, what's the next 2? We don't know yet. We're 1. What's the next 2? Do we want to know about that? Well, you bet we do. What's the next 2? Okay, thank you, Clint. Making sense? Because 1 means do nothing. Pretty much 1 means do nothing. 2 means it's on somehow. Right? And 3 means the level of aggression is high. They're willing to pay up and sell down. So we want to know about that. That's what the aggressive people are doing. Research. Yeah, I haven't done a research with Rob in a while, but it's fun. We can do that. I just don't have the time. Well, the good thing is if you could pull up the charts and see what happened. The second chart time frames I have, one with month, week, day, 60, 30, 15, 5. You go 3-1. You go 3-1 if you want. All right, cool. Thanks, Jamie. You go 3-1 if you want, but Marianne, what I was saying before is you can have another layout that has a different amount of bars on it. And so you could flip between two of those. Not necessarily fewer bars. You can see it more clearly, but you also want to pull it out to see if there's any big triangle stuff that you're missing. So you're not too vortexy. So you have the one with like 100 bars on everything, and then one with 50, stuff like that. It only takes a second to switch between the layouts, but yeah. And see 2 monthlies. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Is like so, because here you want to be able to see what the immediate setups are clearer, and so you can be like this and be like, even closer. You can be like this and be like, okay, for the monthlies. It's like, what are we looking at here so I can see my inside and I don't have to do anything. But I also want to know what's the grander scheme of things, this thing looking like. Okay. In the grander scheme, what's it looking like? And then we can micromanage. Right? So that helps you to keep seeing stuff. And then, like I said, keep sounding out. Like Northrop Grumman was in the video, and watch the videos, and Northrop Grumman went 3-1-2. 3-1-2. And so what that tells me is we got level of aggression 3, consolidation, right? And now, just like a 3-2er, we're getting outside of that. We're using that 1 as the consolidation to go the compound 3-2 to get out of there. A 2, I'm not letting it come back potential 3. It's got to go. Got to go. Because of all the information, all the stuff that we put together, it should just go. Unlike any other system or strategy that you'll hear, we are in something we think we know should just go. No two ways about it. And that's why when you use the triangles in conjunction with our with what we know to be true, we're using the other participants to help us, right? Northrop Grumman, here you go. There you go. Give me the old inside. Give me the inside Momo shooter. Die. All right? Remember, for the execution, we prefer to have the triangle. The triangles. We're not. This is momentum. You are coming straight into the lows. Don't get me wrong on that. Right. Right. Ideally, it's going to pop up. Right. And so, on a shorter term basis, if we were watching this 30, you can see that triangle them out. Here you go. So when they pop up like this, oh yeah. Triangle they out. These guys are gone, and you can even come up into this, like that, what have you. Like I said, go back to the highest low. But here, was this a 3, 87, 85. Here you go. Back into the try. 3, 2, 2 reversal back into the 3. Are we going to take these guys up? Pretty much. And so I know the triangles can be a little difficult, but that's why we can use these setups to make sure you're not always going straight into the lows or straight into the highs. That's what most people will. I'm a breakout trader. I'm going to buy it going into the highs. You're going to get triangled out so much, it's going to be ridiculous. Right? It's got to go. Right? But this way, we're using that short covering or whatever to get us in there. Oh, yeah, right here, Pam. And these guys, yeah. Because what it did do, what these shooter guys did, because if you were watching this, you'd watch it be forming the 60, which it did. Oops, where was it? Sorry. I'm sorry, forming the 30 here. And then once it inside 30, boom. Yeah, you can take that. And that's why you're watching those multiple time frames so you're not getting chewed up. Right? We always want to know if it's a 1 on a longer term time frame. It's going to go back and forth. Right? You get chewed up, you get killed in there. You need that equilibrium to form. Yeah, let the other guys get killed and be like, I'm never touching this thing again. It's a combination of them. We're always looking for where everything is occurring within the broadening formations, right? So 32 can be very powerful because you got a 3 involved. That's why we like the 32. Because once you have a 3 involved, that shows high aggression on both buying and selling. They're willing to pay up, right, over the offer, over the previous range, and sell down below the previous range. If they continue to do that, the range will expand. No question about it, right? And so here, you can see this, outside 30 here, right? Boom. 3, 2, skidoo. Crush them. Crush them. And it should just go. So one of the things, yeah, it should just go. Oh no, the boat's rocking to the right. Oh no, let's all get to the left side and make an equilibrium. Uh-oh, boat flips. Right there. Over. Should just go. 3-2's badass. And the good thing about a 3-2 on the shorter term time frame, if it keeps working, it keeps getting bigger. So like in the Boeing, it worked up in here, and it turned into the 3-2 day, which turned into the Strat, the 1 bar Rev Strat weaker. It just kept giving. Because it's growing. But it has to. So you can see these on the 5s and the 15s. They could go all day. If they really stick it to them on the opening, and it can go all day. 3-2 5er, 3-2 15er, 3-2 30, 3-2 60. All day long. And being patient and waiting for that stuff, because one of the things that the problem is, the 3's a triangle. If you got chewed up in there ain't no way you're getting in on that thing. There's no way. All right. Go back to 60 Boeing, man. If you just got your clock cleaned in here, there ain't no way you're reversing and getting short here. No way. And even guys who are short, they ain't staying short. Most guys. If they catch this move on the opening, they're gone. Boom. Good, good. That's why we're here tonight. Make sure you get it. Arnk. Okay. Hello. Dun, 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 bam. Right there. A beaut. All right. There's your 60. Right. And so here, that was a 60 here too. Boom. It comes back up. Get out. Don't mess with it. But don't be afraid to take this one. And most people have a problem doing that. Right? I just got stopped out. It didn't work. I'm like, give it a second. Bam. Here we go. Give it a second. You triangle builder, you? And so here, you also had the help here. Hammer up. 2. Uh-oh, get out. Didn't take it out. 2, 2, 2. And that triggered the outside. And this was the 60 of this stuff, see? Bam. See ya. 15er. 3, 2. 1, 3, 2. A little trickier, but. And then 2, 2, 2, 2 train. And this is the 3, 2 here, maybe. Nope. That was still a 2. How's the 5er on the puke? Triangle builders, right. Don't be a master builder. Here you go. On the fiver. Triangle day out. Two, two, bam. Now you're going to come back through these guys. All right. Two, two, two. Doesn't really go. Two, lower, low. Triangle them out. And here we go. See ya. And then get yourself an inside fiver. And so once you start seeing this stuff, this is what I really want you to do, is be able to see it like this. Because eventually it becomes such second nature, you can't see anything else. Right? Yeah, Tim, and it just comes with time, because it's some people have never added. You know, I mean, they have a hard time just dealing with the paltry winners that they're used to. In the spreadsheet, yeah, like I said at the beginning, have a plan, man. You can watch the Dow Jones. Another thing you can do is Dow Jones versus just the Dow Jones stocks. Just watch Dow versus the 30, right? Got to have a plan. So you can do that, like I said at the beginning of this recording, if you didn't get it. Have a plan, and I gave a bunch of different ways you can do that. You can do it from just the nightly video, but you got to have a universe, and you got to stick to it. There you go. And with SPY, if that's all you're going to do, get to know these triangles like the back of your hand, right? If you're going to trade one vehicle, you're going to see these tries play over and over and over again, right? So down here in the lows, we saw this, and then it was a higher low SPY, fiver try. And once it came into here, right here, here was your 3-2-5er, right here. 3-2-5er here, and if it comes down, stops you out, and does it again, get back in. Ready? 3-2-5er. Ready? Guess where we're going? We triangled them out up into here by less than half a cent. It was hilarious. But then you got to jump ship and be like, that's it, I'm out. This is what I'm expecting it to do. Take these guys out, and if it keeps going, that. But any new time frame change, I'm gone, right? Here it comes. The higher low gets up here, triangles this 3 bar out. Remember, it takes out the 3, compound triangle comes and takes this out. As soon as it takes that out, gone, to the tick. ARC, inside day, that's actionable for sure. Yeah, that's an actionable signal. How far it's going to go is another story. The good thing was the lower triangle. It didn't take these guys out, so it's still generally moving lower. And you had all this stuff to get taken out. What do we know using about the stocks? Yeah, you're just trading the futures, and that's it. Right? Pure futures, yeah. I would also recommend, if you're going to do that, to trade the ES instead of the SPY. You can also use UPRO for a little more gusto. All right. Moves a little more healthier. A little less liquid, but liquidity's for people who are wrong. We're right. So here's that 3 here. That was 151, and it came up here to 151.01. They actually made the penny on the try. And so starting off tomorrow, there's your UPRO 15er. Yeah, you could do that. That's fine. And the thing is, when you do that, and if you're trying to trade during the day, you can try and do it during the day, but at night, go back and pull out the 5 minutes and the 1 minute and 3 minutes and just draw triangles on everything, so you just keep seeing them. Oh, yeah, inside day. Oh, yeah, that's actionable, sure. You bet it is. The thing is about inside bars is that it's an equilibrium, but it can also mean there's somewhat lack of interest, right? Because it's still consolidating. And so what will happen, why you want to look at the guts of it, is you want to look at the triangle series within it, right? Because when you see an inside month like this, like so SPY does this, right? And let's say it goes, let's say we tank again and go down to here, right? And then rally all the way back up into here by the end of March, right? The question is, do we take that inside break for what it is? It just gone, 50 handles just to get close to that inside break. So where the internals are on that thing really matter, right? And what's going on in the other stuff, right? Do I have a measured move going on in the weekly, and this is just a pause daily that's going to continue that, right? We want to look at the guts of everything, and we want to look at the macro of everything, right? What does this thing really mean? Good, because when you try and look at things cut and dry, just the thing, the course says inside bar, I'm like, everything matters, right? How do we measure the move of the inside bar? We're going to have all the other information on where these triangles are, right? And what time is it? When is this occurring? Yeah, a lot of people don't address that. They never look at down here. See this part? This is the part of the chart nobody looks at. That matters. This is an important part of the chart, just so you know. All right? It would be nice if you get your charts to update to say the day of the week instead of with the date, right? All right, Tim, good job, man. Hope that helps. And like I said, recorded, and we got another one tomorrow. But having a plan, knowing this stuff, before you don't use up any bullets trying to learn the hard way. Right? That's what I don't want, because you'll see the people that do that and are unsuccessful have built the triangles for the rest of us by the afternoon. Oh, I'm done. Okay, thanks. But I don't want that to happen to you. That's why you'll hear me sometimes in the morning say, let the other guys make the mistakes. Right? Let them have to squirm out of their positions. And then when we see it all about to go to max pain, we stick it to them. That's what we do. And that's what can happen when you get too fired up on the opening and without having a full understanding of what we're doing here. So, and certainly, while almost everybody's learning the new scenarios, say it out loud. What is this thing? What am I doing here? I'm not buying the breakout. I'm 3-2. Jones said, I'm 3-2. Wham! Right? Give me the 32. I got my jersey on. Right? I got my 32 jersey on, and that's what I do. Because outside of all these other things that I said that you can watch to trade, you can trade that one setup, and that's all you do. Right? You just kick back and 32 it all day, or whatever you want to do. Right. Okay. We're about an hour and a half. Attention to the gappers, good. Because you have to, because I'm doing so much stuff. But if you just program that in to your software and be like, oh, we're coming to a 30. I think I'll look at my 30 to 15 gappers. Oh, we're coming to the 60. Just rifle through there. Right? You just have to put them into your software, and that's all. Have your gapper layout. Just goes, is it gapper time? Ooh, it's gapper time. Or it's doing nothing. Right? It's gap and sitters won't touch them, but have the arsenal. Okay. Okay, well, an hour and a half. I think that's going to be good. We can do marathon tomorrow if we want. But as far as this just being somewhat concise for the newer folks, And then tomorrow, if you just want to go nuts, and we can go as long as we want. I think an hour and a half is pretty good for to make sure everybody's getting a better grip of it. So, all right. Well, thanks for coming out, and that's going to do it for today. I'll see everybody bright and early.